Betrayal is compared to a dagger in the back. However, they are mistaken. It's worse. Everything you believe to be true is turned into a terrible joke by this slow, decaying illness that eats away at your spirit. What about me? A falsehood disguised as a grin was the beginning of it all. The unmarried couple when I was 22, I met Haley. She was the type of woman that made men stoop to get attention because she was stunning, self-assured, and untouchable. Me, I kept quiet, uncomfortable. At parties, I'm always the guy standing in the corner, hoping to strike up a conversation. I therefore felt like I had won the lotto when she picked me. Like a guy who had never experienced love, I loved her blindly and with ferocity. And for a time, we were content, or I believed that we were. The initial breaks, I gave her everything throughout the years. A home, stability, kids. I sacrificed a lot, put in a lot of labor, and gave my all to make her happy. And she began to float. More evenings were spent with her pals. Additional secrets. We have more fences between us. I choose to disregard it, because acknowledging that something was amiss meant acknowledging that I was losing her. But in the back of your mind, I was aware. The reality I never desired, Eva, my daughter, didn't say the words that broke my heart until she returned home from college. Dad, why are you still with Mom? I gave her a blink. What do you mean? Her fists gripped the kitchen table's edge, as if she were preparing for contact. As she peered down, I heard she's fooling around with Henry Walker. Quiet. A protracted quiet that was deafening. Then my heart began to race. Henry Walker, the nephew of my boss, the arrogant, conceited little jerk who walked around the office as if he owned it. What about my wife? He was sleeping with her. The conflict. I waited for her in the kitchen that evening. She hardly gave me a look as she put her luggage down when she entered, as if I were merely a piece of furniture. With a casual, uninterested tone, she inquired, "How was your day?" In an attempt to control my breathing, I held onto the table's edge. "Are you cheating on me?" She stopped. Then she chuckled, not giggling nervously, laughing without guilt. I was just amused. The woman shook her head and asked, "Oh, is that what this is about? God, you always get so dramatic." I took a deep breath. "So it's true." She gave an eye roll. "It's not a big deal, Logan." I felt sick to my stomach. "Not a big deal?" She gave a shrug. "It's just sex," she stated. "My body, not my heart. You've been a great provider, but emotionally, you just don't do it for me anymore." It was as if someone had punched me in the chest. I had poured my heart and soul into this woman. As she stood there, she told me that I wasn't good enough, as if her staying was a favor to me. The tipping point. Then she revealed the last secret. As if we were discussing trying a new restaurant, she stated nonchalantly, "I've been thinking about exploring other relationships." I balled my fists up. "Are you telling me you're actively looking for more affairs?" She grinned. "Oh, don't act so shocked. You should be grateful. Some men would have already been divorced." Something broke inside of me. I got up so quickly that the chair squealed on the ground. I demanded, "Are you even hearing yourself?" She crossed her arms and moaned. As if speaking to a child, she added, "Look, this is just how things are now. A lot of my friends do it. It actually makes marriages stronger." I had trembling hands. "So let me get this straight," I replied slowly. "You can sleep with other men, but I have to stay loyal?" She chuckled once more. When she said, "Oh, Logan, please, who would you even find? You wouldn't know what to do with another woman if she fell into your lap." And that was it. The icing on the cake. She believed she had triumphed, that I'd simply accept this, that while she humiliated me, I would remain silent and act like the submissive spouse. However, she was clueless about who she was interacting with. Due to that evening, I was no longer the man she believed me to be, and I changed completely into something different. The start of the end. I arrived at work the following morning. Henry Walker was grinning as he waited for me. "Logan, buddy, how's it going?" I tightened my jaw so tightly that I was afraid my teeth would crack. He was aware. I knew, and he knew. And he was having fun with it. The words followed me as I walked by him, ignoring him. The chuckles, the sideways looks, since it was more than simply an affair. It was a joke in public. The joke was on me. However, their laughter would be short-lived, because Haley was out with her new lovers at the time. I was planning to reclaim everything, to ensure that she wouldn't have anything left after this was finished. Not me, not my dear, not my allegiance, and above all, not my quiet, because she had no idea what I was going to do. I was going to set her whole world on fire. And when did I leave? The one standing in the ashes would be her. I had no intention of begging. I had no intention of fighting for her. I had no intention of crying. Haley believed she had triumphed, that she had shattered me, humiliated me, and made me into a helpless little man who would accept his lot in life. She did, however, forget one thing. I wasn't weak, and I most definitely wasn't going to let her escape unharmed. Her life was going to burn, even though she was unaware of it at the time. And me? The match was going to be in my hand. The divorce documents. She didn't expect Haley, didn't believe I was capable of abandoning her while she slept with other men. She assumed I would roll over and be thankful she was still alive. So her smirk disappeared one evening when she arrived home to see me seated at the kitchen table with a pile of divorce papers in front of me. Her voice was stern as she asked, "What's this?" Calmly, I reclined in my chair. "What does it look like?" She blinked. I laughed. She sneered. "Oh, Logan, come on. You're not serious." I said nothing at all, simply slid the documents in her direction. And as she looked over the page, she became aware of I wasn't being playful. The initial break in her self-belief. With an air of incredulity in her voice, she asked, "You're divorcing me?" "I am." She laughed once again, but it sounded strained. She responded, rolling her eyes, "Okay, fine, if this is what you want. But let's be real, you're not going to get anything out of this. I have the house, the money, the kids are grown. What do you really think you're walking away with?" I grinned. "Everything you care about." Her smile wavered, since she was aware. She was aware. I wasn't simply walking away. With me, I was bringing her down, taking the fantasy away. Haley had been creating this ideal existence for years, in which she was the ideal wife with the ideal reputation. But her idyllic little world would fall apart the moment it became known that she was having affairs with several guys. And I will see to it that everyone knows. The point at which she lost control, she made an effort to resist it. She growled, "You don't have proof." I cocked my head. "Don't I?" I then took out my phone. I opened the Haley's Fun Nights folder, then pressed play. Her face turned pale because her voice was there, in pristine sound. I'm laughing, groaning. While she allowed them to take advantage of her, she spoke to her lovers about how pitiful her husband was. Her eyes became wide with fear. How did you?" I lowered my voice and leaned forward. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Did you really think I'd let you walk all over me without getting something in return?" She shook her head and stumbled back, because all of a sudden, she was not the strong, untouchable woman she believed herself to be. All of a sudden, she had been caught in her own falsehoods and was just another cheater. The humiliation in public, I ensured that everyone was aware. Her relatives, her companions, her colleagues. Everything was leaked by me. Pictures, text messages, and records of sound. When did it go live online? She was finished. People immediately turned against her. Her relatives ceased communicating with her. She was placed on indefinite leave from her employment. She was abandoned even by her so-called friends. who supported her extramarital activities. Because a woman who was caught is not someone anyone wants to be friends with. From being the social circle's queen, she became an absolute outcast. What's the best part? She had nowhere to flee to. The fallout from Henry Walker, yes, but I wasn't finished yet. Because there were those who deserved to suffer besides Haley, the conceited little jerk who believed he could have sex with my wife and get away with it, Henry Walker. I ensured that he also lost everything. I forwarded all the proof to our employer, his uncle. And in a day, Henry lost his job. He was led out by security. And when his actions were discovered, it ruined his entire career. Because right now, the industry didn't want to collaborate with a homewrecker, Haley's horrible request. She arrived at my door 2 weeks after losing her easy life, her job, her reputation, and her friends, weeping, pleading, "Logan, please, we can fix this." I simply gazed at her. "Fix this?" I said again, laughing. Now desperate, she nodded wildly. I was confused. I was lost. "But I love you," I chuckled, just in front of her. "No, you don't," I acknowledged. "You love control. You love having power over me. But now, you have nothing. And I have everything." She started crying more quickly. "I can change," she said to herself. I inhaled deeply, moved forward, and returned the whisper, "So can divorce papers." I closed the door in her face after that. And that? I never saw her again after that. The liberty of releasing without a single remorse. I left. Haley lost everything that was important to her. Her cozy existence, her standing, her capacity to control me. And me? At last, I was free. Because while she was trapped in her destroyed world's ashes, better was already being built by me. Something that she would never again take part in. And that, of all the retaliation, that was the best. Seeing a liar lose everything has a certain rewarding quality. Not because you despise them, not because you wish to cause them pain, however, because they harmed themselves. Haley believed she was unbeatable. She believed she could control, cheat, and lie without facing any repercussions. Now, though, she was only a shadow of her former self. And me? At last, I was free. The repercussions of a life ruined. Haley's life quickly fell apart when I left. In reality, her friends weren't friends. Her family didn't want to listen to her justifications. She was permanently cut off from her job. And all of a sudden, she was by herself. No contingency plan, no safety net. Nobody remained to tidy up her mess. She has been treating me like I didn't exist for years. And now, it was she who had nothing. The image that was never rebuilt, her actions were never forgotten. Her name became a warning. At social gatherings, women talked in whispers about her. Men shunned her because they knew she was that woman, not wanting to be linked to a cheater. Even former co-workers avoided contact. The woman who destroyed her marriage wasn't the only one. It was she who was apprehended, and that it never goes away. The final message she sent. Months went by. I had improved my life and moved on. Then my phone buzzed one evening. A long, frantic communication from Haley. "Logan, I don't know if you'll ever forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I ruined everything. I lost everything, and I have no one to blame but myself." The message was read twice by me. Then, I removed it. No answer, no resolution, since I didn't require it. I had released her already. She was merely one more phantom from my history. What about ghosts? They are not worthy of second opportunities. Henry Walker's decline. It wasn't just Haley who suffered. The haughty homewrecker Henry Walker assumed he would simply move on. However, his reputation was also damaged. A man who had a history of hitting married women and getting fired for it was not someone any employer wanted to recruit. He reportedly relocated to a different state, made an effort to start over. It didn't matter though, because he's liked by others. They are never truly free from their history. And that, justice was served. The final thought I had about her: I was enjoying a cup of coffee while sitting outside one day and watching the sun set. The temperature was warm, everything was silent, and I realized for the first time it had been months since I had given Haley any thought. Not out of rage, not with melancholy, not out of remorse. She simply vanished, as if I had just woken up from a nightmare. What's the best part? I was aware that she continued to consider me. She continued to ponder what may have been. She still felt guilty about every decision she made, because that's what makes people like her unique. It is too late for them to realize their mistake. By then, too, they have already lost the ones they deceived. The life that she will never lead, I created something superior. A life of happiness, love, and trust. A life without her in it. And as she continued to live in the past, wallowing in her errors, I had too much going on. And that, of all the retaliation, that was the best. After being betrayed, there comes a time when you come to an amazing realization. You no longer give a damn. It is anger at first. It's heartache. Breathing becomes difficult due to the type of discomfort that feels like a heavy weight in your chest. Then you wake up one day and feel nothing at all. I was there. Our marriage had been ruined by Haley. She had laughed in my face, tossed away everything we had created, and told me I wasn't enough. And now, she was by herself. And me? At last, I was free. Her image was in ruins. Haley believed she could start over after the divorce. She made another attempt at dating. But all the men she encountered, they looked up her name on Google. They witnessed the tales. They read about her alleged history of humiliating her husband, committing adultery with other guys, and losing everything. They also had no desire to interact with her. I feel like I'm walking around with a permanent scarlet letter, she said to a mutual friend. She was correct, because once people are aware of your true identity, they never forget. Her most recent attempt to contact me months went by. Then she suddenly sent another message. It was longer this time. Logan, I know I don't deserve to ask for this, but I miss you. I miss us. I miss what we had. I know I ruined everything, but I can't take it back. I don't know how to fix myself. Please, just tell me how to move forward. I spent a lot of time looking at the message. Then, I removed it. No answer. Because I didn't give a damn about her future. I had nothing to do with her. No more. The silence was something she had to endure, without me present. And that, I couldn't have said anything worse than that. Henry Walker's ghost Henry was never seen by me again. However, I heard rumors. He had trouble keeping a job, shifted about a lot, lost all the prestige and influence he had boasted about. He had apparently begun to drink more. A man who takes advantage of his own coworkers is not respected by others. And after he became the subject of rumors, his professional life was over. Excellent. Because karma doesn't usually happen right away. However, it always shows up. The future out of her reach. Years went by. I created a genuine existence, not based on falsehoods, not based on deception, not based on a perverted notion of love in which one person gives and takes until nothing is left. I made a new acquaintance, someone who saw me really, someone who, in my own marriage, never made me feel inferior. What about Haley? She observed from afar. By themselves, I regret it. I wish she had made a different decision. For what reason is it the worst punishment? It isn't retaliation. People are forgetting it. And that's precisely what she turned into. People believe that getting even is the goal of revenge, about yelling, fighting, and causing someone to suffer the same way you were harmed. But actual retaliation? Peace prevails. It's recognizing that you haven't given them much thought for months when you wake up. It's sharing laughter with those who truly count. It's leading such a rich and incredibly joyful life that the person who wronged you is reduced to a ghost. And Haley turned into just that, a specter. When I last saw her, it was an accident. My fiancé, who genuinely loved me, and I were in a cafe when I noticed Haley sitting by herself in a window-facing booth. She had a new appearance, not too awful, not damaged, simply empty, like someone who has seen the world change without her for years. We looked at each other for a moment, and within that brief moment, I witnessed it, the remorse, the consequences of all her past errors. I failed to wave. I didn't nod. I simply returned to my life. Due to Haley, she was no longer involved with it. And that, the last nail in the coffin was that. The final chapter of her story. What happened to her after that is unknown to me. I didn't check in, never made contact, never wasted any more time inquiring about her well-being. Since she made her own decisions, I also made mine. What's the difference? Happiness was my choice. She made her own decision. And, at the end, all she had left was that. Only she herself and her remorse. The finest retaliation. The question, "Do you ever miss her?" is frequently asked. And my response? No. Because, in actuality, devastation isn't the finest form of retaliation. They are not suffering as a result. It's just going on. Because as they live out the remainder of their wretched lives wishing they had taken a different course, you'll have too much to do. And that is the ultimate form of retaliation.